Today, China issued a warning to Canada. The Globe and Mail reporting China's new ambassador to Canada warned Canadian lawmakers not to impose sanctions on Hong Kong officials, a move that would hurt already sore Canada-China relations. Let's hear from an expert on China speaking at the Security Forum in Halifax. Emily Lau is the former chair of Hong Kong's Democratic Party, and she joins us. Ms. Lau, you are attending a panel today on Chinese tech giant Huawei. Now, there are security concerns with Huawei. Canada has those concerns, and other countries do as well. Now, should Canada be worried about using Huawei to build its 5G network infrastructure here in the country?
Well, of course you should be worried. Then you just list out the questions you're concerned about and get Huawei to give you the replies. I don't believe in banning people and cutting them off completely. But if you have legitimate concerns, questions, they should be listed and get them to give you the answers. And if you are satisfied with the answers, then there's no problem. But if you're not, then you have to be very careful.
Now, what concerns would you have? If we had to explain it to people who are not experts, what are the concerns of having Huawei in Canada?
Well, we have concerns in Hong Kong. I don't use that phone. And some of my friends, people in the pro-democracy movement, also do not use it because they are afraid that by using it, their own personal data would be available not just to the company, but will also be given access to the Chinese government and their intelligence people, and we will be under complete surveillance. I think that is one of our primary concerns. I do not have any commercial activities, so I'm not that familiar with companies' concerns. But on the question of personal information data, we are very, very worried that once we use it, we may be completely naked. Everything will be known to the Chinese government.
And indeed, Canada's relations with China have been tense ever since Huawei's CFO Meng Wanzhou was arrested in Vancouver. I'm wondering, is any warming of relations with China even possible until the Meng Wanzhou case is done?
Well, I am not in no position to speak on behalf of any one of them, but if there are legitimate legal proceedings, then we have to let them take its place. I know Chinese government has called on the Canadian authorities to release Meng Wanzhou, but you have your legal procedure, so you follow it. But all the procedure, the steps that you take must be demonstrated, not just to the Canadian people, but to the international community, that they are fair, that they are independent. And you also explain that to the Chinese. It's not deliberately targeting them.
And how would we go about doing that? How would we explain to the Chinese that this is just a legitimate legal process?
Well, you just have to do your best. And if they refuse to understand or to appreciate, there's not very much you can do. And I feel very sorry for you for the retaliatory action that have been taken. It is really very, very sad. And I certainly hope that you do what you need to do. And when the action is over, then I hope maybe you can move on to something else.
I want to go now to the Hong Kong protests. There are 300,000 Canadians living in Hong Kong. Do you expect these protests to die down anytime soon?
Well, I think that we all hope the situation would de-escalate, would dial down. But why do we keep seeing the protests in the streets and clashes with the police? Is that the government of Hong Kong and the Chinese government refuse to address the very legitimate demands of the Hong Kong people. And that is one of them, to set up an independent commission of inquiry to look into the whole saga. And don't believe the Chinese government when they say it's because there are people fighting for independence or self-determination. And also they say there's a lot of foreign interference in Hong Kong. I say if you accuse these protesters of accepting foreign interference, where is the evidence? So we want the situation to de-escalate, particularly when there are going to be district council elections on Sunday, this coming Sunday. So we certainly hope people would calm down and create the atmosphere whereby all voters, whoever they support, will feel that they want to come out and vote. And that's a very good way, a peaceful way of allowing the people to express themselves via the ballot box.
Am I sensing that you're a little bit optimistic?
About the election? No.
About the outcome and about this ending in a peaceful way?
Well, that's what we want to see. Whether it will happen like that, we don't know. Maybe a lot depends on President Xi Jinping. Does he really want to destroy Hong Kong? Does he really want to see rivers of blood flowing in Hong Kong? Hong Kong being China's most important financial center, does he want to see it ruined? Does China need Hong Kong? Well, he should answer all these questions. And our question is China going to keep the promise of one country, two systems? That's what China promised to Britain and to the whole world in 1997, when Hong Kong was handed back to Chinese rule. And that is supposed to be for 50 years. And we are only 22 years into it. And some people think that 2047 is here already. Maybe it's very soon. One country, one system. That's why the protesters, the young people, are so fearful. They are afraid that they will lose all their freedoms, lose the rule of law, lose their personal safety. And that would be dreadful.
Emily Lau, this was fascinating. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.